And it has, what I call it is the 4 most powerful words you can use on a commercial construction job site. And it has, once again, the last of the anecdotal stories about myself that I'm going to share with you all. When I started in this business, I started doing what you do. And I remember my first day to work. I showed up and the owner of my distributorship said, "Welcome to your new job, son." And he said, "I'm sorry, but I have no vehicle for you to use. You're going to have to use your own car to do this job. And I have no expense money from you whatsoever. You're going to have to do this job and you're going to have to pay for your own fuel and everything else to get the job done." He said, "I have no training for you really." He said, I've got books down here. I suggest you take a few of those home over the weekend and study up on the products. If you want to do some hands-on, the stuff we sell is out back on the racks. If you want to come in this weekend and play around with the tools and whatnot, you can do that." He handed me a map with a magic marker. Sharpies didn't even exist then. With a magic marker that marked out, he said, "This is your territory, son. You need to stay within it." And then he said to me, "And you are a straight commission salesman." And I thanked him without even knowing what the hell that was. Let me tell you something. When you start out in this business, just a kid, under those kinds of pressures, you'll learn a lot. You learn a whole bunch. And you know what? I got into this business about 60 days, and I was running out of money. I was going broke just trying to do this business. And I was getting my head handed to me with such regularity that I had to stop and ask myself whether or not I could even do this. And I remember one day when I stopped and said, "Son, you got enough money for maybe the next 2 days. You better figure this out. I mean, come on, self, what the hell are you doing?" And that's what I did. Consider what those superintendent's jobs were. And that's when it hit me, because they did the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. This superintendent, all of them, enter into a conversation with me with the very real expectation that if he asks me for something, then I'll just give it to him. And every time I gave it to him, he figures there might be more. In other words, he starts over. I approach the sales situation such that if I continue to give him what he asks for, he will eventually reward me with the order. And so we get to that point, and that superintendent would say, "All right, son, well, what do you get for that? What's the price on that?" And I'd say, "Well, I can do that for $15 each." You know what he'd look at me and say? "Well, son, your competitor was in here just yesterday and told me he'd do it for 13. And what would I say? 13, you say. "Well, I think I can do it for $12.50. And then he'd say, "Well, you know what? He also told me that if I buy one today and make a tacit agreement that I might buy 2 more before the end of the month, he'd give me the 3 price, $11.75. Well, let me see if I got this right. Order 1 now and maybe order 2 more. Let me sharpen my pencil here. Well, I'm quite completely sure that I can do that for 10 1/4. You know what? Every once in a while I got an order. Where was it? 10 1/4. His job was to ask me for things with the very real expectation I just give it to him. I thought that if I just gave it to him, he would reward me with the order. And every once in a while he did. And by default, I was going broke. Everybody follow what happened there? I was naive. I was young. And then I discovered these 4 words. And 33 years later, I'm telling you, I am here on the backs of these 4 words. They're not very big, but they're enormously powerful. And they're nothing more than, "If I will you." If I will you. And what it got down to was, he'd say to me, "Well, how much do you get for that?" And I'd say it's $15 each. And he would say, "Your competitor just told me to give you a price of 13. You know what I'd say to him? "If I give you 13, will you give me the order?" By the way, after you say that, do what?
Shut up.
Shut up. Did I give him 13? No. It was conditional, wasn't it? It was a non-committal committal. What did I say? If I give you 13, will you give me the order? Did I give him 13? No. It was conditional. It was a non-committal committal. What did I effectively do? I transferred the monkey from my back to his. And as long as I didn't say anything, pretty soon, he'd stand there, it would get uncomfortable, and I'd look at him and he'd say, oh, all right, shit, 73. I believe if you incorporate these 4 words into your sales as a closing mechanism or a closing tool, you also will find